A very good morning. Welcome, everyone, to this lovely Thursday morning, the Cyber Thursday event that we're having today. Um, Welcome to our brokers. Welcome to everyone joining our session today. Please do use the chat to say hi to everyone and let us know how you're feeling today, where you're joining from, and are you looking forward to Black Friday? As we are in the Black Friday spirit. The cyber session we are having today will be a nice one today and will be quite eye-opening. We'd like to welcome everyone and allow 2 more minutes while everyone is joining. We will be starting quite shortly. Please do use the chat box to say hello and scan the QR code in the meantime while we're just allowing our guests in. Please do settle down, grab some water, grab your coffee, think about today's session. We have a lovely session today. The new wave of social engineering with that cyber safety guy. We have Michael Baswell today as a guest and our underwriting lead, Candice Toprek, who will be presenting to us today. We are in for a jam-packed show. Please do enjoy and feel free to use the Q&A to ask any questions. In the interim, please do scan in and sign up for your attendance for today. 1 more minute to go. I will start. All right, then, let me start by introducing our guests this morning. Michael Baswell, that cyber safety guy. Michael Baswell is a cyber safety educator and public advocate for safer digital futures as the founder behind the social handles at that cyber safety guy. On Instagram and TikTok, you will find him there. He translates complex cyber risks into relatable, actionable advice for everyday users, parents, educators, and learners. With a strong technical foundation and a passion for outreach, Michael is a public speaker through which he develops and delivers digital safety workshops. He helps schools, teachers, students, and parents build resilience against threats such as cyberbullying, phishing scams, online predators, AI misuse, and more. Michael's Instagram, that cyber safety guy, is his platform for raising awareness. He shares bite-sized, high-impact content on real-world issues like emerging scams, banking fraud, grooming, gaming risks, and protecting digital identities. Michael brings several years of hands-on experience in leading digital protection initiatives. His mission is clear: to help people of all ages navigate the digital world with confidence and caution. Ladies and gentlemen, please do welcome Michael, that cyber safety guy, Basel. How's it, Michael?
That's good. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you.
All
Very
good.
excited for
Looking
today. I think we've got a very informative session coming.
100%. Let me just do introduce our very own Candice Toprek, who's the lead underwriter for personal cyber insurance, who will be joining you today in giving us this lovely, scary but insightful session that we have going on today. Welcome, Candice. How are you doing today?
All is well. It is a beautiful day. Tomorrow is my favorite day of the year, historically my favorite day of the year. But given the fact that today is my baby's first birthday, today is officially my new favorite day of the year.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Congratulations, Candice.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you. Thank
joining
you.
us. Yes, let me go through your bio quickly. Candice Toprek is the underwriting lead personal cyber at I2 Special Risks, the specialist underwriting management agency underwritten by the Hollard Insurance License. Candice brings over a decade of experience in cyber insurance, underpinned by intricate knowledge of cybercrime and its evolving impact on individuals and businesses. Recognized as a trusted voice in the industry, Candice has been featured on leading platforms such as ETV, ENCA, CNBC Africa, Cliff Central, and Paul FM. Her expert insights have also been published in well-known titles, including The Star, Cape Argus, Citizen, FA News, and many more. Candice is dedicated to educating the market, supporting brokers, and empowering clients with practical tools to understand and mitigate cyber risks. Beyond her professional role, she is passionate about building awareness around personal cyber safety, helping people protect what matters the most in a connected world. Aside from graduating from the University of Johannesburg with a certificate in cybersecurity, Candice is also a certified associate of the Institute of Bankers. Thank you so much for joining us, Candice and Michael. I'm going to waste no more time and leave it over to you. Thanks, Michael. Take it away.
Thank you. Perfect. Let me share my presentation to start off with, and then we can get going. Okay, perfect. So I've got my own QR code here for people to scan real quick. So we can just take a couple of seconds and scan this QR code, and then we'll definitely be able to get the session started. And also, just if once you have scanned the QR code, can people just give me a thumbs up so I know that everyone has scanned it? Or even just put it in the chat. Okay, so I'm guessing a lot of people have scanned it. So firstly, this is one very important thing that I must warn you guys about when it comes to cyber safety, when it comes to something known as social engineering, which I'm going to break down further, is that you must not ever trust every single thing that you see on the screen. Yes, this QR code that you scanned right now may have led to my website, but you must remember one thing: cyber criminals will use stuff like QR codes in order to make you scan in towards your malicious websites, scan into malicious download links for malware. So this is the very first thing you need to be aware about, is actually scanning QR codes like this. I even saw you guys started off with the QR code as well, which made me laugh a bit, but you must remember you can't trust everything. And that's why this session is so important nowadays. And that's why we're focusing on the modern South African scams and the breakdown of social engineering, the new wave of social engineering that South Africa is experiencing at the moment. Because a lot of people have a misunderstanding about cybersecurity, about how cyber criminals work. People have a misunderstanding of how these scams work. People think when it comes to cyber criminals and when it comes to these cyber scams, people are sitting there behind the screen, busy programming, busy hacking, and that's what cybersecurity is about. Unfortunately, this isn't the case. One of the biggest tools cybercriminals use is something known as social engineering. And I'll give a bit of a bigger breakdown on social engineering a bit later. But a general breakdown is that it's the psychology behind it. How am I going to get someone to scan a QR code? How am I going to get someone to click on a link or download something? So, it's not the actual sitting behind the screen hacking. It's more about getting someone to do something, getting someone to send money to you. So that's going to be one of our main focuses of today, is the end-to-end. How, firstly, starting off with the cyber criminal, how do these cyber criminals think, and why are these cyber criminals targeting South Africans so much, targeting Africans so much? Then we're going to go into the breakdown of social engineering and understanding what social engineering is, a few different techniques, and then what some of the most popular South African scams that we're experiencing over the last few months. Then we'll break down a couple of fun games, which I want to be quite interactive with everyone. So if everyone's, please, as soon as we get to certain sections and say this is an interactive session, please try and interact as much as possible, because I believe that interaction leads to a lot more learning than just sitting and listening to someone. So when I get to those sections and I say that, please go and raise your hands, please unmute yourselves, or even type in the meeting chat. So you can also learn a bit more, ask questions, and actually find out more when I break things down. And then lastly, I'll be covering how to fix your digital hygiene. Your digital hygiene is how you stay safe on the internet. It's how doing small specific things to ensure that you're protecting yourself and also protecting your family. So just starting off, who am I? My name is Michael. I started that cyber safety guy about 2 years ago. And the reason why I started that cyber safety guy is because over the past 5 years, I've been traveling to schools around the country. I've been traveling to corporate organizations, and I have been teaching people about staying safe online, about cyber safety, about cyber security. I also help deal with cases when it comes to child predators within the schooling environment, setting up school governance, corporate governance, and it's just assisting and educating people on what is cybersecurity, on how to stay safe on the internet and protecting yourself. And over these last 5 years, I realized that in our country, unfortunately, there isn't a lot of education. So I decided to take the initiative and create this education myself. And that's why I created the platforms that Cyber Safety Guys, to create a free platform for people to go on to and actually learn how to stay safe on the internet, learn about these different scams I'm going to be speaking about today, all the different tips that you need to know, just so everyone has access to it. And in this country, things are getting worse. We are definitely going through a cybercrime pandemic where South Africans are losing billions every single year to these cybercrimes. With the developments of deepfake technology and artificial intelligence, we are seeing such sophisticated cyber attacks. So if you're not taking the initiative now to teach yourself about this stuff and educate yourself and create awareness about it, you are most likely going to get caught out. Because when it comes to cybersecurity, one of the biggest things is awareness, is education. Because if you know what you're looking at, you know the signs to look out for, the chances of falling for one of these scams or falling for a cybercrime is very, very low. Obviously, you get very sophisticated ones that most people won't be able to spot out, but I'd say about 95% of the time it's so easy if you know what you're looking for. And that's why I've started this, and that's why I'm presenting to you today, is to make you aware about this stuff and make you aware on how to spot this stuff out and how to protect yourself. So why does this presentation matter? Obviously, it's not just businesses that need to worry about scams. It's everyone that needs to worry about it. Because back in the day, when it comes to cybercrimes, when technology wasn't as advanced as it was today, cyber criminals just focused on businesses. Now, when technology is in everyone's hands, everyone has access to the internet, everyone has access to social media, everyone has now become a target. It's so much easier for a cybercriminal to target an individual on a cell phone than trying to target an entire organization that has an entire cybersecurity team set up and has cybersecurity set up. So one thing you must realize is it's no longer the businesses that are being targeted. It's you, it's your children, it's your grandparents, it's your friends, your family. And this is the reason why everyone needs to be educated. And also, this is the reason why corporates need to stop just focusing on the IT team, the cybersecurity team. They need to receive the training. That's not the case. Everyone within your organization needs to be trained and needs to be aware about these sort of threats, because when it comes to a cyber attack, especially when it comes to an organization, it's not just the IT team that has to worry about it. One person, even the person that just does the admin tasks, they could be a point of entry for a cyber criminal. And also for yourself, you could be a point of entry for a cyber criminal into your bank account, into your social media platforms. As you can see, South Africans are amongst the most targeted victims in online scams globally. We are seeing a huge amount of online scams coming through South Africa and coming through Africa. And I'll break down a few stats for you just now to show you the severity of this. There's an explosive rise of cyber fraud cases in South Africa, especially with the implementation of deepfake technology, which I'll break down a bit just now for you. Most attacks are seen because of human manipulation, not hacking. That social engineering I mentioned earlier, that's what that human manipulation is. Families, children, other adults are being manipulated daily. So those here who are sitting that have kids that are in school, like I mentioned, I present to schools a lot, and I presented to thousands upon thousands of children. And I've realized even kids in grade R, grade 1, grade 2 are huge targets when it comes to stuff. And it's not just cyber criminals trying to gain access to money. There are things like extortion, sextortion. There are things like children sharing too much for their digital footprints, ruining their lives entirely because your digital footprint follows you for the rest of your life. So it's also your children that are being targeted by stuff like this, because kids are getting younger and younger, they're getting more access to technology. Also, awareness is one of the most important tools of protection. That's why we have people like me busy trying to educate people, because creating awareness around this stuff is very, very vital. It allows you to actually protect yourself. So if we just take a look at some of the South African stats around cybercrimes at the moment, Interpol has confirmed spiking rates of cybercrime across Africa in the latest cyber threat assessment reports. There's a huge spike currently through Africa that we're seeing when it comes to these cybercrimes, and it's becoming a major issue. Consumer fraud was the second most experienced crime by individuals, according to the latest government public safety and justice survey. This in 2024 and 2025 just showed that we're seeing a huge amount of consumer fraud. So it's not companies that are being targeted so much anymore. It's more your consumer, the person sitting behind the screen. And as we mentioned, and as Candace mentioned, her favorite time is Black Friday. But also when it comes to cyber criminals, their favorite time is also Black Friday. That's why it's known as the silly season before December, Christmas time. All these specials are coming up at the moment, and the cyber criminals are seeing this opportunity to launch more phishing attacks, launch more social engineering attacks. And that's why we're seeing such high levels of consumer fraud, because everyone's shopping online, everyone's using digital currency, digital cards to shop online, and cyber criminals are taking this opportunity to target people. That's why we're seeing this huge rise. Incidents of deepfakes and AI-driven fraud are exploding, and I'll break down more deepfake technology a bit later. But you must remember what deepfakes are. Basically, I could take videos of you, I could take your voice, I could take photos of you, I could run it through artificial intelligence and deepfake technology, and I can create anything I want of you. So I could create a video of you dancing, I could create a video of you saying whatever I want you to say, but also you must remember cyber criminals are using this technology to actually go and scam you, scam your family. So I don't know if any of you ever received a phone call and no one's speaking on the other line, and a lot of us have received stuff like that. You answer your phone, you say, "Hi, who's this?" Then they just put the phone down, then they phone you back and you say, "Who's this? Why you keep on phoning me? Why aren't you saying anything?" But what the cyber criminal is actually doing is they're using these small little techniques to get little snippets of your voice. Then they'll take those voice recordings, they run it through this deepfake technology, and then they'll use that, then they'll generate use those voice recordings and the deepfake technology to generate a chatbot or an AI bot that sounds exactly like you and is responsive to questions. And then they'll phone your family members. Then they'll phone your parents, your children, and say, "Listen, yeah, I'm in trouble. It sounds identical to you." And they say, "Listen, yeah, I'm in trouble. I need you to send money to this account real quick." Often most people don't realize that they're actually speaking to a chatbot that sounds identical to you. Then they'll send money to their account, not realizing that they're not even speaking to you in the first place. They're communicating with a scammer that's just using this technology. And that's quite scary for you. And I'll break down a few different scams just now of how they'll use this technology in a lot more dangerous ways. New survey reveals darker reality. 50% of respondents have been scammed over the last year, or have been scammed at least once. So it just shows 50% of all South Africans have been scammed by these scammers. Between 2023 and 2024, impersonation fraud reports spiked to about 356%. According to 2023 South African Banking Risk Information Centre's crime statistics report, South Africans lost about 3.3 billion in financial crimes. Just show how much money we're actually losing every single year. 30% of all crimes in Eastern, Southern, and Western Africa are all cyber crimes, and 90% of all countries requiring significant upgrades in the law enforcement when it comes to cyber crimes and prosecution capabilities. It's slacking quite a bit. Digital banking fraud alone has surged about 45%, and financial losses rising to about 47%. Cyber criminals are targeting that financial industry. And you must remember, not back in the day, people would go and rob banks in order to gain access to your money within a bank. Nowadays, they don't need to do that anymore. They're going to take the easier route and actually just gain access to your bank accounts, gain access to your finances that way through cybercrime. So to make you understand how these scams work here in South Africa, I need to start at square one. I need to start off with the actual cyber criminal. Describe how is the cyber criminal thinking? Why are they doing what they're doing? And why are they targeting South Africans so much? So obviously, cyber criminals want financial gain with minimal effort. Like I said, cyber criminals nowadays aren't just going to want to sit and try and gain access to a corporation that has huge amounts of funding for cybersecurity. They're going to be wanting to target you sitting behind your computer right now. They're going to be targeting easier scams, easier malware developments, just because it's a lot easier to target an individual in comparison to an organization. And like I said, with the development of technology, it's becoming so much easier for them. Targeting ordinary people is easier. So many don't expect to be attacked. They'll be attacked. Like I said, why I started that cyber safety, guys, because education isn't here in this country. There isn't a lot of drive when it comes to teaching your general person about cybersecurity. That's why cyber criminals are targeting us so much, because there isn't that awareness. You click on very simple scams, and you're just making it so much easier for them. Attackers rely on human errors and emotional triggers, fear, urgency, and trust. That is that social engineering I was speaking about. They use that manipulation of fear. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen those emails that come through and say there's been a problem with your account. You're owing 1,000 Rand, 2,000 Rand to fix it. And you think, oh gosh, I better pay this now before my account gets deleted. And then that's a typical. And then you click on a link, it takes you to a malicious website, and you end up downloading malware onto your device. This is a typical example of social engineering. And I'll be breaking down some realistic examples just now. Because of high volume and low cost, scams are lucrative and scalable. It is very, very, very cheap nowadays to go onto the dark web, to go onto specific websites and download malware for yourself, where you can distribute it. You can download ransomware for yourself, and it's so easy for these cyber criminals to gain access to this technology to scam people. So nowadays, the cyber criminal sitting behind the screen doesn't need to be a tech guru. They don't need to understand how to develop an entire malware program. They can just go online, actually buy the ransomware, and it's so much easier for them to do nowadays. Especially when it comes to your deepfake technology, they can just use commercialized deepfake technology to go and create scams and use it for the wrong intent. So what is social engineering? And I've given you a general understanding about this, but social engineering is the psychology manipulation of people to trick them into divulging confidential information or performing actions to compromise your security. Like I said, this is the psychology behind it. How am I going to get that person to click on that link to scan that QR code in the shop? That's what social engineering is. This is majority of the stuff that is behind the scam. And some of the social engineering examples that you need to be aware of is firstly phishing. Phishing is one of the most common forms of social engineering. So I'm sure a lot of you have received phishing emails where someone is stating, so let's take an example of FNB. So what you'll receive an email from FNB saying there's a problem with your accounts or your credentials that have been expired. So please click on this link in order to change it. Otherwise, your account's going to be deactivated, or you're going to have a fee. So obviously, you're tricked thinking, okay, there's the fear aspect of having to click on something. So maybe they'll also implement an aspect that if you click on this now, you'll get a discount on this, or your account will be safe. So there's also working on that. Oh, I can get a discount, or even with Black Friday, oh, I can get a discount if I click on this link now. So they'll create those fake emails. They'll go and use social engineering within it. As soon as you click on the link, it'll take you to a website that looks identical to FNB's website. So you must remember, often people will go into a site and think, I can see this is a fake one. It's just dependent on how much time and effort that cyber criminal wants to put into it. They can make it look almost identical. So as soon as you click on the link, you send your login details to the person by filling it in, or even you click to download something and you end up downloading a malware onto your device. Then we're moving on to phishing. This is a different form of phishing, but it's more towards your voice, like I mentioned with social engineering. So people will often phone you. They'll use deepfake technology to sound like someone you know, or they don't even need that technology in the first place. What they do is they'll act as if they're from a company that you know, or company that you're working with, or they'll act like a service provider. And a typical scam that uses this is your SIM swaps. So they'll call you as a service provider, say there's an issue with your account, we're sending you an OTP, please give us that OTP, and then they end up stealing your SIM card from you or your cell phone number from you. You can understand how that can put you in a very vulnerable position. Smishing is also very similar, but this is the SMS or the messaging platform. So people will contact you over SMS, people will contact you over WhatsApp. And I'm sure a lot of you have received that SMS where they're stating that there's a problem with your package or parcel. Especially now over Black Friday, you're going to be ordering a lot of stuff online. You're going to be expecting a lot of deliveries. Cybercriminals going to work off this. So what they're going to do is they'll send you an SMS stating there was a small error that tried to get delivered to your house, but it didn't. There's a small fee of 89 Rand that you need to pay. So you click on that link, you pay for the 89 Rand thinking, oh, it's a small amount. I want to get my parcel. I paid so much money for it. And then not even realizing that you're actually speaking to a cyber criminal, not the actual company. And 89 Rand isn't a lot of money, but you can imagine if they trick 100,000 people into paying that 89 Rand, that is a lot of money then. That's why cyber criminals are pushing this out to as many people as possible. Then you got your baiting. This is the baiting of clicking on links. Like I said, typical social engineering. How am I going to bait this person to click on this link or scan this QR code or actually go and download this off my website? Then you got scareware. Scareware is basically the scare tactic behind things. So basically what they will do is they'll implement specific things into an email or specific things into an SMS in order to scare you. Like I mentioned, they're gonna charge you something, you're going to lose a discount. So they use different scare aspects in actually doing this. Then you got tailgating. So this is more in-person social engineering. So not all social engineering is behind the screen. So especially when you're working with an organization, or even when it comes to coming into your own complex, I live here in Johannesburg, and you can understand Johannesburg is quite a dangerous place. A lot of us live in boom gated areas. A lot of us live within complexes. So cyber criminals will also use this opportunity like tailgating to gain access to your complex or gain access to it. So I'll break that down for you now. So when it comes to tailgating within an organization, what these cyber criminals will do is they'll sit right behind you. So a lot of companies will use access tags to gain access to it, but this person might be holding a box of donuts, and then you walking in front of them and they say, oh, unfortunately, I forgot my access tag, but I'm holding all this stuff. Can you just let me through quickly? Most people won't think about it. They'll just scan the person in, let them go through. But that's actually just a cyber criminal wanting to gain access to your building, to maybe gain access to your server room, gain access to devices on there to plug in a malicious USB. So this is a big form of it. And even when it comes to tailgating and they're getting into your complex, so let's say you're a CEO of an organization, you're quite a high up person, and they want access to your personal information. So what they do is they'll tailgate you into your complex. Then they'll go dig through the dustbin. So maybe you got a dustbin sitting outside your house. They'll dig through your dustbin looking for information in that dustbin. And they do the same with organizations. And you'll be surprised how much confidential information we actually throw in a dustbin and not actually realizing it. Then you got your shoulder surfing. A lot of us are guilty of this, even though it's not malicious intent. So you'll be sitting behind someone, let's say you're on an airplane, and that person's sitting on their cell phone, they're busy messaging your friend. A lot of time people will be sitting looking at what that person is saying on their cell phone. That makes you think, when you're busy sitting on an airplane, busy typing out personal information, busy typing out confidential company information, what is that person behind you looking at, and what is the intention with that information? So you might have someone tailgating you the entire day, and then you go and you sign into some important financial records, and this person's busy sitting behind you, busy recording it. Or even you're sitting in a building or a coffee shop, and they're across the road sitting with binoculars watching what's happening on your screen. You must remember, cyber criminals will go to this extent in actually gain access to this information. QR codes, like I said in the beginning, especially with Black Friday now, they'll go into shops, they'll go into shopping centers, and they'll attach these QR codes onto walls saying there's a discount. Please scan this QR code to see all the discounts, and it takes you directly to a malicious website. And if you actually go into my page, the Cyber Safety Guide, you'll see during Cybersecurity Awareness Month, I dealt with a lot of stuff like this. I created scenarios, I actually created fake malicious websites, and you can go understand those stuff a lot better and see the actual damage that it can occur. So what I basically did with this, I created a QR code where it took you to a website, you filled in your IP address and everything. And also on that website, often you'll get the requests showing that, can we gain access to your web camera? Can we gain access to your microphone for this website? It is vital. Most people just allow that stuff. So how this website was designed is they pressed accept, and then every 5 seconds, a photo coming from the web camera was sent to my phone. So it sent me your location, and it was sending me photos of yourself and what you were doing in that situation. So as you were on that website, I was getting all of that information. Obviously, fake websites are a huge thing. It's so easy to create fake websites for the form of phishing. Impersonation is a massive aspect of social engineering, and then also deepfake technology. So this is one of those interactive sections I was busy talking about. So please, guys, please interact with this. It is very vital that you actually do, because I believe when it comes to phishing, it is very important to spot specific things. So this is a phishing example that was sent to me recently. So if you guys, and even Musa and Candace, if you want to participate in this and unmute yourselves, I want you guys to look at these phishing emails and actually tell me what is wrong with them. So maybe in the chat say, okay, maybe you spot something that looks suspicious, because every single time you receive a phishing email, you want to actually go and make sure you can spot this stuff out. Yeah, there we go. Email address is whack. Thank you, Candace. So as you can see here, when it comes to if you look at the top, it's Discovery Medical Aid Plan, and then it says contact@bento-deko. This isn't the typical Discovery Bank domain name. So as you can see, it's been sent from a completely separate email. Also, thank you, Ken, there's no branding. There's hardly any branding on this email. But also, one thing you must be aware, sometimes cyber criminals will go you'll go further and actually copy an exact looking Discovery email address. Also, in the dear customer, that's also a very good spot. They're not specifying someone, they're not specifying who you are, what your username is. They're saying dear customer. So obviously this is being sent to a whole bunch of people. Often you can also spot spelling errors. You can see, look how this says contact us as medical@discovery. So that's also an indication. If you look at the two different domains, the one at the top and the one at the bottom, you can see they've just copied that one at the bottom and they're using something completely different. Then we got a different section here. This is from Buffalo. Like I mentioned, we're going to be shopping a lot, especially on Temu and everything like that. So this is a typical example of your parcel wasn't delivered. You need to make a payment of 83 Rand and 57. And here's your tracking number. So often you'll receive something like this and not think twice about it. Firstly, no reply at, whatever that domain is. It's not coming from the Buffalo domain. It's coming from a completely separate one. Also, you need to think to yourself, why am I receiving this? Did I order something from Buffalo? And also, my biggest advice when it comes to these phishing emails, if you receive something and you have ordered from a company like this and you're not too sure, go and double check. Go and sign into the website. Go and phone the actual company and say, listen, yeah, I've received this email. Is this actually you guys? And is there a problem with it? Go and always double check. Don't receive an email and trust it straight away. Here's another one. So it's a1parker@telkomsa.net. This is coming from Mailbox. So this one hasn't really specified where this is coming from. This is a random one that was received as saying that you got low storage warning. That's that social engineering I was talking about. It's 99% full. You got to click on this link to sort it out now. Otherwise, you're going to run out of storage. Something's not going to work. That's the typical social engineering behind this. You can some of these ones you can spot out so easily. There's another one that I received that I found was quite an interesting one. It was a SharePoint one. Firstly, at kitcarson.net, you're looking at the domain once again, but you must remember, so some cybercriminals can change that domain name to look like it's coming within your organization. This is known as spoofing. So often you'll receive a spoofed email, you think it is, but often if you reply to that email, it shows the true one. But that's also something you need to be aware of. You also, once again, you got to think, why am I receiving this? Look in the subject line. Why is your account verification code in the subject line? It's something that's supposed to be private, that you're supposed to be receiving privately. And typical things, if the code only works with social engineering things, the code only works for 15 minutes, you need to click on this link to type it in. And when I clicked on this link in a secure virtual machine, this is exactly what the website looked like. Look at the domain at the top, the link at the top. That is not the SharePoint domain. That's another sign to pick up. And as you can see, it automatically filled this email address in, and it's asking for a password. So you're not going to think twice. You think, okay, my computer already knows this domain. It's entered my email. Let me type in my password. And that's how they steal it that way. So moving on to just some general South African scams that you need to be aware of, because as South Africans, we are being highly targeted. So there was the recent SARS scams that was coming around. So the scam list has died at the moment because because tax season is finished. So what was happening is people were impersonating SARS. They were creating those phishing emails and they were targeting you. They will send you an email stating this from SARS. There was a problem with your account, or there's an outstanding amount that needs to be paid. You click on the link. It takes you identical to the SARS website or even your e-filing website. You sign in, but you're actually going and sending your credentials to those people. Or you're going and you're paying money into a fake account that isn't actually SARS. And you must remember, it's not just emails that are being sent to you. People are phoning you saying they're from SARS. There's an account. So if you receive a phone call and they're stating they're from SARS, please go and put that phone down. Go and phone SARS directly and say, listen, yeah, I received this phone call. Is this person actually from SARS? And is this a problem, an actual thing? When it comes to phishing, when it comes to social engineering, most of the time, just put the phone down and actually go and double check yourself. There was huge amounts of job scams. Unfortunately, in South Africa, the job market is terrible. We have a huge amount of unemployment rate. So cyber criminals are using these opportunities to gain access to people for human trafficking, gain access to information, and gain access to money. So some of these scams that were going around, South Africans were applying for jobs overseas, specifically in Thailand and Russia. And what these scammers were doing is they were setting up these fake job applications on LinkedIn, on social media, specifically focusing the IT, hospitality, and education sector. And people were applying for it. The money that was coming from it, off your salary every single month, was amazing. These people were offering to fly you to the countries. They were offering accommodation. The second, these South Africans landed in Thailand, landed in Russia, they had their passports taken away from them and they were put into scam camps. So while people in Thailand were placed into scam camps, but they were being forced to scam other people and living in very, very bad living conditions, being beaten every single day, basically being human trafficked. And then in Russia, what was happening, as soon as they arrived in Russia, they were expecting to work in the hospitality industry in hotels, but they had their passport taken away as well, and they were placed into factories to develop drones for the war. So it just shows you put into a situation, you get offered something that is too good to be true, and then you end up being human trafficked based on just applying for a job and just out of desperation. Digital banking fraud and OTP scams. So people will often phone you acting as if they're your bank and they'll ask for your OTP to gain access to your accounts because your password has been breached. Also, when it comes to deepfake technology, this is something you need to be aware of. A lot of scammers nowadays are finding out who is the person you deal with within the bank. They'll phone this person, they'll have a full-on conversation with them, and they record their voice. They take your bank teller or your bank assistant's voice, run it through this deepfake technology. And then what they would do is they'd phone you sounding identical to that person. So you think you're actually speaking to the person, they'll spoof the number to make it look like their actual number. And then you will give up this information willingly, not realizing that you're actually speaking to a fake person and you're giving this information or that OTP to a cyber criminal. Investment get rich quick or crypto scams. So there's a lot of scams on the internet stating that you're going to get rich if you sign up to my platform or if you invest money with me. So you invest money with this person. So let's say it's 200 Rand, they turn into 1,000 Rand. They say, okay, invest more money. So you invest 2,000 Rand, they turn into 5,000 Rand. And eventually that money's building, thinking you're earning so much money. But at the end of the day, you end up spending 500,000 Rand thinking you're going to get a return of 5 million. And that person just takes that money and runs away. It's a very typical scam here in South Africa. Deepfakes for businesses and personal scams. Like I mentioned, deepfakes are being used all the time when it comes to phone calls, when it comes to receiving WhatsApp from people. So there was a recent WhatsApp scam here in South Africa where people were busy firstly getting voice notes from you and using those voice notes to create deepfake scams using your voice. And also they'll create profiles looking identical to your family members, people you trust, and they'll start chatting to you through that saying, listen, yeah, there's a problem with my account, or I'm entering a competition. They'll say, okay, I'm sending you an OTP, please give me that OTP, or giving you this PIN, please give me that PIN to gain access or to win this competition. And as soon as you give them this PIN, it was actually an OTP to gain access to your WhatsApp account, and your WhatsApp account gets compromised. So like I said, typical social engineering, they're impersonating someone that you know. They get an OTP from you, and then they gain access to your account, and then they'll use your account to scam people you actually know. Online dating scams are huge at the moment. A lot of people have moved towards online dating. It is so easy to create fake profiles on social media, on these dating platforms. So you're chatting to someone, you think you know them, but then the actual person gets, let's say, a naked photo from you. Then they'll use this naked photo to extort money or extort information from you. Or some people fall so in love with this person where they'll willingly just give thousands or millions of rands to this person, not realizing they're actually speaking to a fake person or speaking to a cyber criminal. So we must remember, people can create fake personalities online. It's so much easier to build that trust with them and actually go and scam them out of money. Then there's sextortion, that scam I was talking about, people creating fake profiles, getting a naked image from you and extorting money out of you. This is known as sextortion. There's a group in Eastern Africa known as the Yahoo Boys. They specialize in this type of scam, and every single day people are falling for this and losing hundreds of thousands of rands because they've sent a naked image of themselves. And you must remember, it's not just adults being targeted. And the reason why I'm breaking this down in specific ways and focusing on different aspects from business to personal is that your kids can be affected by this. You're giving your child a cell phone, they're taking a naked image from themselves, and then they end up being scammed out of money. Also, there's a consequence. If your child is under the age of 18 and they take a naked image of themselves, this is the production of child pornography. Your child can go to prison for 15 years if they do this. So you need to take the responsibility of what your child is getting up to online and what devices you're giving them and what access you're actually giving them, because the cyber criminals will use this against them. Courier delivery or parcel scams, that was that scam I broke down earlier where you receive that SMS. Fake marketplace and third-party seller scams. So these are online retail frauds. So this is the fraud you need to be aware about when it comes to your Black Friday scams at the moment. They'll create fake websites. They'll create fake social media ads. They'll create fake deals. So you click on their links, you pay for something, thinking you're receiving a good deal, and you end up actually losing a lot of money. I'll give you a perfect example of a South African woman that was recently scammed. She had gone and lost 120,000 Rand to the scam. But obviously, she was, with December coming up, people wanting to go on holidays, she was looking for cheap flights. She found some cheap flights online on social media. She reached out to the company. They said, okay, contact us on WhatsApp. So she contacted a person on WhatsApp. They say, okay, if you want to receive these deals, you need to download our exclusive app. So she downloaded this app. She went on and she saw all those deals, but behind the scenes, that app was actually a virus. It was a malware. So that had allowed them to gain full access to her cell phone, full access to the security of her cell phone, and then gained access to her bank accounts. And they completely drained it. 120,000 Rand gone because she was looking for a deal and she downloaded something to her cell phone and she was talking to a stranger. Seasonal and event-driven scams, so holiday, Black Friday stores, deep fake sale deals. With artificial intelligence, it's so much easier to create fake deals, create fake advertising, create fake websites. It's so much easier for these cyber criminals. SIM swap, like I mentioned, they will get an OTP from you, from phoning you. Account takeover and identity theft is a massive thing. We share too much information about ourselves online. We'll accidentally share a photo of outside our home. We'll accidentally share a photo of where we live. We'll share a photo of maybe our ID card, for example, and cyber criminals will use this for identity theft. So typical scam signs that you need to be aware of when looking at these different scams. So obviously there's urgency and pressure. Act now or you'll use the deal. Typical social engineering technique, like I mentioned, they are using something to pressure you into clicking on that link. Too good to be true. Free gifts, unbelievable discounts, guaranteed profits. If you see stuff like this on an email that you received or on an advertisement on social media, think twice before actually going and clicking on that link. Requests for personal information, banking details, passwords, OTPs, ID numbers. Never ever go and share this information. You are putting yourself into a lot of risk. Payments in weird ways, vouchers, cryptocurrency, wire transfers. You must remember when it comes to these cyber criminals, they don't want to use legitimate ways when it comes to payments. They want to use ways that it's very difficult for them to get tracked. So they'll use things like cryptocurrency where you can create accounts that aren't linked to your actual personal information. So all of a sudden you make payments, now this person steals your money, you go to the South African Police Service and say, listen, yeah, I've been scammed, and they try and track that payment, but it's almost impossible to track it down. Suspicious links and attachments within emails, within social media posts, links with strange spellings, shortened URLs, that's also a massive thing. If you see a shortened URL, do not click on it. And also unexpected files. You must think, I'm receiving an email, why is there a file attachment in here? Why is it asking me to download something? Don't click on any strange links and don't download any don't download any strange things off of malicious websites. Poor grammar and strange formatting, odd wording, weird capital letters, incorrect spelling. If you see any of this on a phishing email or in general emails in general, do not go and click on any strange links. Do not believe it. So lastly, the last little section, which is the end on how to protect yourself. How do you fix your digital hygiene? Firstly, use strong, unique passwords for every account. I know this is a schlep. A lot of us are guilty of using the same password and setting up something easy so you remember. But you must remember, if you're using easy passwords and you repeating those passwords all the time, you are shooting yourself in the foot. Because what happens is when you create a password, it creates something called a hash function. It gets, well, in simple terms, it gets encrypted. So it gets changed. So if someone gains access to that hash function, they can't actually read what it is and they can't crack your password. But if you're creating easy passwords like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and you're using it for everything, I could take that hash function and crack it within seconds using something known as a brute force attack. And if you're using very complicated passwords, it's going to take me a lot longer, even millions of years to actually crack that password. And also, if you're using the same password over and over and someone gains access to your password from one account, they can use that same password using all of your accounts and they'll be able to gain access to everything. Use multi-factor authentication wherever possible. So multi-factor authentication, this is an extra step of actually protecting yourself. So you can use apps, you can use your cell phone number, you can use your email address, you can use little things known as a UB code that you can plug into your device, and you can only gain access to that account if you have that thing plugged into your device. So this multi-factor authentication is an extra step. So if someone does gain access to your password, they'll have to gain access to that special PIN or that actual UB code device to gain access to your accounts. Avoid clicking links, scanning QR codes, or responding to calls messages from unknown or suspicious numbers. Be very wary when answering calls from suspicious numbers. Do not click on any strange links. And please, when you go to the shops for Black Friday shopping, do not scan any QR codes. Never share OTPs, banking information, or personal identifications like email addresses, your WhatsApp, your phone number without verifying first, without actually phoning that company and saying, is this person actually working from you? Use secure networks, avoid public Wi-Fi. Why would I say avoid public Wi-Fi? A lot of the time we go to the airport or we go to a cafe and we connect to our open Wi-Fi thinking, yo, I can connect to this and I can use it because I don't have data at the moment. You must remember there are multiple different ways. There's something known as an evil twin attack. There's something known as a man-in-the-middle attack. So someone can set up a fake Wi-Fi network that looks identical to the, let's say, the airport's one, for example. You connect to this and multiple things can happen. Firstly, it can take you to a fake website, so a fake sign-in website. So let's say I'm sitting in a cafe and I'm using a device known, let's say, the Flipper Zero, and I emit the signal. You connect to this Wi-Fi that looks like the cafe's Wi-Fi. It takes you to a fake Google page, and as soon as you type your information, that's sending it directly to me. Also, when it comes to a man-in-the-middle attack, so let's say your network isn't encrypted, what you're doing on the internet isn't encrypted through a VPN. So you connect to this Wi-Fi, you start sending emails, you start logging into your banking information. All that traffic is being sent to me. And even when it comes to emails, I can grab your emails, change what's in that email, and send it off to the sender. That's why it's very vital to use things like VPNs to encrypt your data when you're connecting outside of your home or your private network. Keep software, apps, devices up to date. You must remember when software developers are developing apps, they are spotting vulnerabilities within those apps. And then that's why they release these patches. So if you're not updating your devices, if you're not updating your operating system, if you're not updating the apps you use on your cell phone, you are leaving those vulnerabilities unpatched. And cyber criminals know this. They see what version you're using and they think, okay, I can use this tactic and I can gain access to this person's account. Limit personal information shared on social media. Please do not go and share too much information on social media, especially if you have a public account. I'll give you a perfect example. If you have children, and you are taking photos of your children and you sharing it online, you are putting your child's life at risk. Firstly, cyber predators can go and use photos of your children to get to know them, find out information. So if you post your child that's just won a swimming competition, they'll see, okay, this child goes to this school, this is who their friends are, this is what sports they like to do, this is what your child looks like. And then cyber predators will use this to start chatting to your child and start creating fake profiles or fake identities. Also, they'll use deepfake technology to go and generate naked images of your child. All of a sudden, your child receives a naked image of them because you shared too much photos of them online. All of a sudden, your child is put into a position of potentially being kidnapped or being extorted. You must remember, sharing too much information online is putting a lot more danger within your life. And having a public account with all this private information is incredibly dangerous. Teach children or older family members about scams and the red flags. It's important you teach everyone within your family because everyone can be targeted. So I think I can hand over to you for now, Candice, and then we'll do the Q&A section if we have enough time.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Michael. That was so informative. My mind is blown. I don't even know how I'm going to present my stuff now, but let me give it a go. All right. To explain to everybody about my solution, which is the personal cyber insurance policy that we offer at i2. So my solution, it's a personal offer, so it's not something that you would sell to a company. It's what a human being would purchase in order to cover their own cyber risk. As we can see from Michael's presentation, there's so many risks. So there really is nothing that you can do to completely, there's no silver bullet, there's nothing you can do to completely protect yourself. And that's the reason that insurance exists. So the policy is versatile by design. There is no proposal form. There is no underwriting. If you are a human being, you can buy the policy simple. It is a standalone policy, or it can be added onto an existing personal policy if you have a binder. And if you have a hollowed binder, It is automatically included in the private, prestige, and premier wording. If you have an I2 binder, we are also able to offer that on the third-party platform of Sims, Flexi, and Teal. If you do not have a binder, do not qualify for a binder, or don't want a binder, we do offer the digital platform, which you can share your bespoke link with your clients in order to purchase the policy. To give a very, very quick overview of what the policy covers, and there are multiple packages which we'll get to at the end. Number one, it's the theft of funds, and that is paying you back for any funds that you've lost due to a cyber incident where somebody hacks your bank account, your payment cards, which is your debit or your credit card, or your mobile wallet. So a mobile wallet is a virtual wallet. You can put money into that wallet, or you can use that wallet to perform transactions. So think of like SnapScan and Zapper. We also would cover your financial loss following a phishing or email spoofing incident. That is when you give your information to the hacker because you've fallen for a phishing scam. Our identity theft module covers the cost resulting from identity theft, which includes reporting the theft, refiling your rejected applications, notarizing affidavits, credit and identity theft monitoring, as well as the cost to actually reissue that document and any lost wages for time you need to take off work. We know going to sort that out isn't always a quick process. Chances are Murphy's Law, you'll sit in the queue for 8 hours. When it's finally your turn, you get to the front and they say, sorry, our systems are offline. So we do cover things like lost wages as well. Your data restoration and malware decontamination module is the cost to restore your data and software because they've been lost, stolen, or corrupt because of a cyber incident on your personally owned device. Remember, this is not a company cyber policy, so it wouldn't respond if your work-issued, work-owned laptop is intercepted. This is for you in your individual capacity. We do cover cyberbullying and cyber stalking. So cyberbullying is what happens to a child. Cyber stalking is what happens to an adult. And this module covers the costs from that incident, which is removing the content that has been placed online about you or your child, any lost wages. There is a trauma benefit for you or your child to go see a psychologist at a time and location that is convenient for you. And if that psychologist determines you need to move your child to a different school, there's also the costs to do that. Our cyber extortion module is reimbursing you for the ransom payment as a result of an extortion demand. This does also respond to sextortion, which, as Michael has said, is something that's really becoming quite prevalent amongst teenage boys being the target, where they will receive a deep fake of a really beautiful girl and then ask for naked pictures, which these boys then do send. And unfortunately, when the ransom demand comes, they're too embarrassed to admit to their parents that they fell for this. The scam is saying to them, if you don't pay me this amount, I'm going to share this picture with all of your school friends. I'm putting it on social media. I'll send it to your church, to your parents. And what we have seen, unfortunately, is a number of successful and attempted suicide attempts resulting from that horrific situation. Our online sales and shopping module will cover you for non-delivery or non-rendering of goods or services that you ordered online specifically for your personal use and you were tricked or duped and you fell for a scam. So it's not Takealot where you've ordered something, you order a face product and it arrives and it's the wrong product and you can exchange it. It's not that. It's when you have fallen for a scam. Our 3 liability modules. So if your device is intercepted and that causes damage to a third party, this will cover the defense and settlement of their claim because they are a victim of you being hacked. In terms of privacy and data breach, if you are hacked and a third party's information is compromised, this will pay for the defense and settlement of that claim. Our last liability module is if you are the victim of a company being hacked, let's pretend Edgar's is hacked, and you're a victim of that incident, this policy, this module of the policy will help with your legal defense costs. Our last and probably the most interesting module is called express kidnapping. And that is very different from kidnap for ransom. In a kidnap for ransom situation, you are taken, you are held against your will, and a ransom is demanded in exchange for your release. That is a standalone policy that I2 offers, but what we are talking about in this package is express kidnapping. So I want to play a hypothetical situation. Imagine this is you.
Hulle het nou die baas van die company het hulle nou sy vrou gekidnap en uit die kar het gevat.
So this is the story of Anna Pinev, a 35-year-old mother of two who went to drop her kids at school, ordinary day in Cape Town, and then decided to drive to work after. She was kidnapped, and as you can see, they leave the car, which for me is quite an interesting dynamic, because it's a nice car, a car that they could take and sell for money, but they decide to leave it behind despite the fact that there were multiple assailants. They did find Anna Pinev alive, unfortunately not unhurt, in a shack in Khayelitsha 5 days later.
This small shack on the sand plains of Khayelitsha, Cape Town, looks unassuming from the outside. However, the small structure was used to hide and torture kidnapping victims.
We are listening. Talk, brother.
Shocking footage from 2022 shows a Middle Eastern man being tortured inside this very shack by his kidnappers. These kidnappings are known as express kidnappings, and they involve little planning and costs. However, due to their quick turnaround time, they do not bring in large sums of money. These two men were caught for the kidnapping and torture of the Middle Eastern man seen in the video. They were also responsible for the kidnapping of two other local businessmen who were also held at the same shack where the video was recorded. The kidnappers' rap sheets show that they have been involved in armed robberies in the past and were even sentenced to jail for kidnappings a few years ago. But they do not act alone. They are part of a larger syndicate of express kidnappers who allegedly operate under two kingpins, Sibuyile Lolo Mki and Xolani Gioso. Both these men have histories of violent crime, but thanks to a new Western Cape kidnapping unit established in October of last year, they have been caught again and face multiple charges of kidnapping and extortion, along with alleged fellow syndicate members.
So a My Solution policy covers express kidnapping, which is when someone is taken and held against their will, and the victim is forced to withdraw cash from an ATM or transfer funds from their bank account until their funds are depleted or they are released. If we look at the number of kidnappings reported in South Africa, there was 800 in 2021. 800 in the whole year. That increased to 1,143 a month in 2022. And there were 17,000 reported in 2023-24. 85% of victims are women and children, and South Africa has the highest rate of kidnappings in Africa, and we are ranked 6th globally. So when we look at a My Solution policy, we've tried to make a package that, regardless of what life stage you are in, there is something that would help you. So our mega package is your first time income earner young individual policy, and that covers 25,000 Rand theft of funds. That is going to cost you 22.50 Rand a month. Our giga package, just in the interest of time, I want to speed up a little bit, sorry. Our Giga, Terra, Peta, and Exa packages, you can see on the screen, and we do offer packages for entire families. So your EXA package, your PETA and EXA package do include the express kidnapping module, and the EXA package has the 3 liability modules. So for you as an individual, it would cost you 300 Rand a month. To add your partner, which is someone you've been living with for a period of longer than 12 months, or 3 children is 325 Rand a month, or your partner and 3 children is 350 Rand a month. A child is defined as any dependent person under the age of 18. But if we look at the market, what the issues going
Listen,
on.
if you're fishing for fake news, go to the competitor. My Solution is the real deal, period.
We've heard lots of people saying, well, your competitor does authorized and unauthorized transactions. Yes, they do, but so do we. In terms of our theft of funds module, we cover if you are hacked, your personal bank account, your credit card, debit card, or mobile wallet is hacked by a third party. We cover any financial loss following phishing or email spoofing, which is when you authorize the transaction. So A is unauthorized transaction, B is authorized transaction. We also then cover any additional account charges for not maintaining the minimum balance in your account, as well as the legal defense cost, which our competitor doesn't. If you need a little bit more convincing, here are 2 more endorsements.
Yo, dog, check out my Solution policy. It's the best in the biz. Out DOGG.
So like my Solution is just like the most epic policy. Everyone should have one, like Bible.
So what is my cyber solution? It's my solution. This is a policy that has no proposal form and no underwriting. We have market first modules. We have a fully digital offering, affordable premiums with an extremely low churn rate and 24-hour support, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year for you when an incident occurs. If you would like to download the playbook, the link is on the screen. Musa will paste that into the chat section so that you can download for more information. And in the true spirit of Black Friday, we are offering preferential rates. So on your digital instance, if you use this code on your screen, you'll receive preferential rates on a new business policy for my solution. I'm going to put up our email addresses, which will be shared with everybody. But if I may, this is not fake news. This is not quishing. So quishing is when it's fake QR codes. This is Michael's handle. So please do feel free to follow him. He posts the most fascinating stuff. And if I may kick off just with a question, I know that we probably are out of time, but I wanted to ask a question, please, to Michael. So you speak to thousands of parents, learners, and educators. What is the one surprising insight that you've picked up from students themselves about how scams or online manipulation actually spread amongst young people? And what can we as adults learn from that?
I think when it comes to kids, the biggest thing is social media. Because obviously, because if you look at the younger generations, all of them are using social media, all of them have access to technology at such young ages. And also, when it comes to social media, also remember there's gaming implemented to it. So when they're on social media, when they're gaming on games like Roblox, Fortnite, everything, they are dealing with strangers all of the time. They are following strangers, they have public accounts, their parents aren't monitoring what they're actually doing on these devices, on these platforms. So when majority of these scams are coming through, they are seeing these scams on social media, they are seeing these scams on their gaming platforms. Because they're not sitting on email addresses, they're not busy going into the shops and scanning random QR codes. And these criminals are thinking, where are these kids spending majority of their time, which is the internet, which is social media. And when it comes to parents need to take the responsibility of actually going and looking at what their kids are getting up to on social media and what games their kids are playing and who they're speaking to on these games and what they're doing. Because as a parent, you're paying for that device, you're paying for the Wi-Fi, you're giving them the data to do so. You have the right to actually go and do the searching. So that is one of the biggest places these kids are actually coming across the majority of these scams. And that's where they're getting affected the most. And also because parents aren't actually monitoring and taking that responsibility.
Amazing. It's a very difficult and tricky question when it comes to do I give my child a device? And I think that we could talk about that as a session on its own for an
definitely.
entire hour. So I know that there's quite a few questions. I don't know, Musa, if you want to come on to ask those questions. I know that we are over time, and apologies for that, but please feel free to drop off if you need to. If you can stay for a few minutes, Michael, I hope that you can maybe give us 5 minutes
No,
to just
definitely
answer
so.
some
Definitely
questions.
so.
Perfect. Thank you. Musa, will you be asking the questions, or do you want me to just find them quickly?
You can find the next one in the interim of time, in the interest of time.
Perfect.
Thanks.
So, perfect. I see that a lot of people are asking if the presentation can be shared. So the presentation has been recorded. It will be put onto our YouTube channel, so you will be able to access it there. And please do feel free to share it with your clients, share it with your children, and use that for some marketing material.
And also one thing, Candace, if for your brokers, if they do want me to do something like this for their companies, or even on a personal level in churches and schools and everything like that, they can contact me at my website,
Amazing.
www.cybersafetyguide.co.za, and then we'll be able to arrange things with them as well.
Thank you. Thank you. That's such a generous offer. So I see a question from Jose that says, where can scammers be reported so that action can be taken against them? I was scammed and tried reporting to the bank, to SARS and SAPS. I called the numbers provided for reporting scams and fraud, but the phone just rings and is unanswered. I also tried emailing the authorities, including SARS, on the mails provided, but I didn't ever receive a response.
Yeah, unfortunately, in our country, we there's not a lot of stuff getting done. You contact SAPS, you contact SARS. There's not a lot that gets done about it. When it comes to actual reporting, you get the Fraud Prevention South African Fraud Prevention Services. They help a lot of victims when it comes to this. When you go to the SAPS, you don't speak to the general person sitting behind the counter. You must go and speak to the cybercrimes unit. They're the unit that deals specifically with this. So if you're speaking to someone that doesn't have not much knowledge about this stuff, they're not going to want to think and sit and do the paperwork. You need to contact the people that deal with these type of crimes directly. When it comes to specific platforms, there's something known as, well, let's say if you're a victim of sextortion or you're a victim of cyberbullying, there's something called the Harassment Act that you can go through the magistrate's court. So they'll basically set up a ruling that they'll contact the service provider. So let's say it happens on Facebook, they'll contact Meta. Then they'll issue them with a court order stating, okay, you need to give out who is actually scamming them. You need to focus on, they'll say, okay, this is the person that's scamming you. They'll give you the IP address, they'll give you all that information. And then the cybercrimes unit will use that information to do an investigation for you. So there are specific things you can actually go and do. But you must remember, you need to be looking at the right places. You can't be going to the wrong people. Like, unfortunately, SARS, most of the time when you try and get things done with SARS, it falls through. So you need to go. There are specific organizations you can go do some research on that will be able to assist you with this stuff.
Exactly right. So if I can just quickly share the newsletter that I sent out to all brokers on the 29th of October. This specific newsletter was called FTK, it's for the kids. And in my newsletters, I specifically put in where you can go for support. So this is more to do with taking pictures down, whether you're a minor or adult. But I do have the Cybersecurity Hub in the previous newsletter. I did include all of the banking, where if you're a victim of theft of funds at ABSA, who to actually call instead of the number that someone just calls you from and pretends to be ABSA. So please refer to those. Happy to share those again. Okay, let's do one more question if you don't mind. So Joan has asked, she said, I've been a victim of social engineering via WhatsApp. Is there any way to protect yourself? After the incident, I did the WhatsApp PIN two-factor authentication and also got ESET protection for my phone. I'm paranoid about it, especially as I'm afraid they'll get access to my contacts. I'm not sure if one can be held legally liable if they do get your contacts.
So when it comes to WhatsApp, firstly, like I said, it's spotting out the signs. when someone sends you a random message stating that they are who they are, go and phone the person and make sure you're actually speaking to the real person there. Like I said, they'll be impersonating your friends and family. Also, you did the right steps. Make sure you have multi-factor authentication set up. Make sure that you have that specific PIN that you need to enter in order to gain access to your account. Always make sure you have those extra steps set up, those extra codes set up. So if someone does receive that OTP, they get stopped by that barrier. Also, once again, do not share any OTPs. If someone sends you a PIN, look at the actual email that you received. Like, for example, one of my family members was a victim of this, and when the scammer reached out to me, not realizing who I was, what happened was they said, "I'm trying to enter a competition." That I received an email, but they were trying to gain access to another platform. So just read the email, read what the email is actually saying, and see. It'll say OTP to gain access to your account. Don't just copy and paste something without thinking twice about it. Also, when it comes to someone getting access to your WhatsApp and gaining access to your contact list, it is illegal. There is legal repercussions behind it. But remember, when it comes to these cyber criminals, a lot of the time they're clever. And when you try and do something to actually track down who this person actually is or report it to the police station, they have specific measures in place to basically not be able to be tracked back down to them. Well, majority of the time, the scammer, they don't cover their backs too well. But if you've got a very sophisticated cyber criminal, they will have every aspect covered. So even if you go and report it, the chances of tracking down who that person actually is quite slim. Well, Candice, I think you're muted there.
Yeah, it is. Cool, guys. I think we've lost Candice. I think let's wrap it up. We've been 10 minutes over time. So thank you very much, Candice and Michael, for this lovely presentation. Yeah, we will take some further questions. You feel free to email us. We will share the slides and the recording accordingly. Do have yourself a lovely Thursday further. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.